Another video. So, how was this week? Well, this week was a bit messy. The reason it was messy is because I am trying a new strategy out, and last week the strategy seemed to be working quite well. This week, I don't think the strategy is anything wrong with the strategy. It's just my execution was a bit messy. So let's look at it. I'll go through it. I didn't actually document everything in my Telegram channel for the strategy because there's a lot of entries and exits and small losses and whatever. I don't want to spam it, and I want to show more of the quality trades or stuff that I think is good. So I didn't document everything in there. Anyways, this is my performance. As you can see, I'm somewhat of a decline. I lost $77 this week. Which is not bad. It could have been less. I decided to size a little heavier this week. It's still very, very small, but a little more, so it would have a little bit more meaning for myself. I thought that might be more reliable for myself. But yeah, well, it's the $77 loss is not such a big deal, and there really were some unnecessary losses in there as well. Anyways, in pips it's 1,500. I have taken on to gold, and so I'm starting to trade gold, and so that's why the pip difference is so huge compared to other times. That's why also for this month I am down by 918 pips because gold moves in terms of pips so much more. So just so you're aware of, in case you are looking at this stuff, how the hell is he positive if he's losing all these kind of pips? That's because of gold, and even though the losses I took on gold were very small, in terms of pips, it is a lot. So let's look at our time here. Here's October 21st. By the way, this is the Telegram channel. You can check it out. It's in the link is in the description or in the comments section. These where I call most of my trades, unless I'm like doing what I'm doing now, which is a lot of experimentation, trying out and whatever. I don't necessarily put everything in here. So what happened? I've went long on AJ. AJ came down. I went long. It was somewhat of an unfortunate thing because I went long on it, but I missed actually GJ. GJ would have been a better opportunity. I was at the computer when this happened, and for some reason I did not see this. This would have been a really nice trade. Even better trade would have been the CHF JPY. That would have been even nicer, and it would actually fit into what I've been doing and the setups I'm experimenting with. But again, I missed it, which is one of the issues I'm having at the moment. Is I'm not that good at executing it. I'm not that good at recognizing it instantly. So there's still a lot of refinement that I have to go through. Anyways, I moved my stop loss to break even on, what was that? On AJ, that's right. And then start going sideways. I closed it, and afterwards it went down. So that was pretty good decision. And then my UC, and I will talk about this, USD Canadian dollar. That's my main trade. It's a good trade I'm in at the moment, and I'm getting into more and more drawdown because this thing is just pushing against me pretty hard. So we'll look at that in more detail later on. And then here is EU. I went long. Again, there was a bit of a coil up, a bit hard to see on this one. And I went long, but I missed that better entry, so I went in later. And same thing on GJ, but GJ didn't work out. And then, but it worked out later. So that's another thing. Like I took trades, then I closed them at a loss, and they worked out. It was just a bit messy this week on my side. And then it like said, oh, it does work out, and then it dumped afterwards. This is the EUR-CHF trade, another trade that I missed, which would have dumped as well. But these things, even if they dump, like if you manage them correctly, you get stopped out at break even, or even able to lock in some profits. Overall, I left a lot of money on the table by just not seeing the setups appropriately, and that's something I need to work on. I'm probably studying this weekend to see how I can manage it better. It went up. I put my stop loss at break even, and afterwards it dumped. So that was another thing. Stopped out, and then it just kind of messed around here. And here's the GJ trade, which I was saying, he went up. I thought it's going to work out, and then it just tanked. And I just misread the chart. If we go to GJ, so you can see what I am talking about. Here we go. I should Probably. And by the way, if you're wondering what all this stuff is, I'm studying Burks at the moment, Stacy Burks. So that's some of those ideas are coming from him. Let me undo that. So it was probably here. Yeah, no, Thursday. We are too far. Friday. Yeah, no, it's correct. Here. In this region where it basically looked like it's going to start breaking out of the trading range, it was at top of the trading range. I went long, it pulled back, and then it took off afterwards, probably somewhere down here. Yeah, so let me see what the date was. I didn't plan on doing this October 2nd, 22nd. So that gives me a better idea. There we go, October 22nd. So it was probably somewhere in this window. Yeah, here. There you go. You saw these are the three things that you saw. So it went up, and this was at the top of the larger trading range. Let me undo my things so you can see it better when I switch to bigger time frame. Why is it all the way back here now? Anyways, here. So you can see how it's been somewhat like ranging. This could have become a larger trading range. This is all trading range price action, which looks bullish. Looks like it's going to break out to the top, which it has. And so somewhere in here, that's 22nd in here, is at the top of the range. A large percentage of trading range breakouts fail, about 80% of them, according to Al Brooks. So going up and then shorting it on the smaller time frame, what would have been probably a better idea, because it's at the top of the range in terms of probabilities. The probabilities in your favor, that trade would have worked out if I would have just looked at it that way and then shorted. But anyways, it went draw down, and it came back and then up, and then it went for a retest here, and it looks like we're gonna see further upside action on GJ. But of course, you never know on how these things plan out or work out. All right, so that was GJ, and me mistreating the chart and not anticipating that this could be a pump and then the following pullback. And then you see, I looked for a trade here because it really started to look like it's going to go down. So I was looking for a potential day trade or just add to my position. And then I did it on gold. So gold, I need to separately look at it because I missed a really, really big opportunity on gold, which is really unfortunate. So, all right, here's the unfortunate thing. So on that day here, I started to look for shorts. I didn't post this in my Telegram, but I was looking for shorts. I lost some money on here because it just wasn't playing ball. And then it went up and it dumped. And on that day, I was also looking for shorts, but I didn't enter anything. Plus, I didn't have this trend line drawn out. Because if I did, there would have been a really, really nice trade here. That would have been a massive, massive profit. Even with small sizing, this could have turned out into a really, really big trade, which I missed. But this actually would fit into my older playbook, which I use on larger time frames, because it is a larger time frame, a potentially bigger time frame trade. You can see this channel on the 4-hour and the daily and whatever. So it is something that I would rely on more heavily. And it really reverted like that. It reminds me of GU. That trade was different though, but still there was a lot of resemblance, and that is something I would have taken, and with an appropriate stop loss, which and having that a little bigger. I'll just show you, so you don't have to guess what I'm talking about. So if I'm entering here after a fail, and I have a stop loss somewhere up here, that gives me enough room to wiggle, or even higher. Like if I use my usual system, I would have a 1-to-1, something like that. That gives a good amount in case if I'm wrong, if I do cut it, the loss is not going to be super huge. If I win, the win is going to be decent. Plus, it went all the way down here to the low of the week, so it would have been such a nice trade, and I missed it. But anyways, and then I attempted to short gold later on. So now you start to see you're gonna have somewhat of a head and shoulders pattern here. How I came, this is kind of like shoulder, head, shoulder as a potential trade. And so it was coming up and I started shorting it here and it did pull back, but I wanted it all the way to the low of the week to potentially even like go further down, but that just didn't happen. And so I took it basically at break even and I took profits on it. So it was not that stellar. Anyways, I'm a little bit off my game, but that's kind of expected. I exited here, as you can see on my gold trade. All right, so and then let's look at UC, because UC, you can see all the positions I am in on my grid trade. I had a good, nice grid here, and I started adding more heavily here, up here, because it is looking like, or it was looking like it's gonna revert, which it did not. It is pushing even further up. Here we go. Maybe I'll put on. All right, so I've started drawing a potential channel that is not confirmed, so don't take too much, make too much of this line. We saw how it kind of respected the high here, but then just pulled back and start going up. Now this trade, I did size fairly small. The lot size I used is 0.03 when I started shorting all the way down here. Let me move to a higher time frame, because that's actually where I am managing it from as well. So I start shorting it here. I added a second position here, I added a position here, and I started adding here as it started to look like it's starting to top out, which was not the case, or it is not the case, and it's just moving up further. Now we have a very nice, again, I'll just take out my drawing so it's not too confusing. We have a really nice high here where it was a really big rejection before, which is at 395. I have a limit order in here to go in. Now, the way I'm thinking about these kind of trades is that I am prepared for the worst, meaning that if this gets broken and it breaks out to the upside, I have enough margin to play with this. So you can see, you know, it had like highs all the way here, like during the COVID crisis at 1.46. And that was once before it came all the way back, all the way here. That's something that can happen, you know. It's not something that is out of the question. And I don't know, like I was thinking of just exiting this trade, managing my way out of it before the election. But then I started looking at the data from the past and see how elections have played out, and the volatility on specifically those days when I look at the daily candles, they didn't seem to be that huge, but we'll have to see. So anyways, I'll put on my drawings here. It's going to get a little messy because I'm studying on these things as well. So here we go. If I were to blow this account with my current amount of that I've got in here, it will be all the way at 1.63. That is when I'll get margin called. It is just highly unlikely that I will be margin called, or that I'm going to that USD CAD is going to go all the way there without a single reversion that allows me to get out at break even or a profit. I think that is highly unlikely. This is only possible because I sized so small. So if I were to have sized much heavier, I would be in trouble. Let's say I would have sized, you know, that I make 2%. If it would have gone to the original profit target, I would be in so much drawdown. This one here, I'm anticipating about a 1K drawdown. Okay, so that is not close, but somewhat close to the top. Here, even up here, like you know, maybe I'll be here. I don't know in how much drawdown I'll have to calculate it. But here's about 1K drawdown, which is fine. I'm prepared to be there and to experience that kind of drawdown on a trade like this, which is why I don't have my whole capital in an account like this. But I believe it is more likely that we're going to have some kind of reversion in this vicinity here, because this is a resistance zone that we are in, and all that's happening really is just we're pushing further in. Now, even when you look at the previous price action, you can see here this push up is quite prolonged and strong. When you look at the past, you do have a prolonged, really strong push somewhere here. But when you look at most pushes, when it comes up, and you have, this is the exponential moving average I have on. Let me scroll out. You can see it's starting to move away from the moving average, it's getting pretty far away from it. And I mean, it was here, it was pretty far away from it as well. But most of the time you get it moved away, it's going to start revert again to the mean eventually. Depends on what kind of moving average you use as well. So anyways, I'm not too worried about this UC trade. I think I can manage it. I am pretty confident I can close out some positions if I enter. I find some good trade opportunities. I can exit some of the positions if necessary to reduce risk. I've done that before. It's something that should be doable. Now, one thing I do want to say about this is that the channel of this one here, of the USD CAD, it's very tight and it's on a 4 hour. It's a super tight channel. And so if you listen to Al Brooks, when something has a super tight channel, the first reversion or the first correction when it breaks out of this tight channel, in his view, is not going to get very far. So it is more likely that you have this, and then you have somewhat of a trading range, and then you have further downside action, or you have a spike, which really looks like a spike, and then you have a channel, which is why I started drawing a channel up here to see how this thing goes. Let me put my drawings back on here. So I've started to put in a tentative potential channel, as this might be more likely that we have a spike and a channel further up. We will see how it reacts here. Is it going to just push through it? Are we going to get a rejection here, a break of the channel, and then a correction down? I don't know. I can't predict the future, which is why I have size small. And also, this is one of the reasons I don't usually trade grid. But I thought I'll give grid trading a go and see how it goes. It looked like a nice thing to do. Like even here, the very nice strong push up into potential resistance. That's why I entered. I thought, that could be a likely outcome that this is going to revert here. But it just, kept pushing further up. Now, here's the reason why I don't usually grid trade. This is such a nice trade now. It's been going so strongly up. You have some gap bars here, but it just keeps going now. And there is a high likelihood. The longer this pushes up, the higher the likelihood becomes that you're going to have a reversion at some point. If I'm not in a grid trade, I can capitalize on this opportunity much heavier, and the profit will probably be bigger than if I'm in a grid trade. And so I think it is better for me personally to not grid trade, because then I can capitalize on these really big swings and go in heavy, and it can be like a GU trade where I make $1,200 or more on this kind of trade. And by the way, you can look at that GU trade that I had taken up here. I moved here, and yes, broken. I took profit somewhere up here. You can see, like if I would have held this even longer, my profit target, my profit would be even more. That's something I'm considering. Maybe I should be taking only partial profit and swinging at least some of it to see how far it can go. Anyways, so you can see the chart is all messy and everything because I'm doing analysis on it. I'm trying to find the entries on the good setups. I'm trying to see the conditions. I'm taking notes. I'm drawing lines and all kinds of things. That's why it can be a bit messy and confusing when people look at my chart. Anyways, let me know how your trading week went. Hopefully it's been good. If you want to see what I'm up to, then join the Telegram channel. As I have said, I am documenting most things in there. I don't document everything in there because of some of the setups. Like if I'm in and out and whatever, I'm looking at things, it can be a bit messy. And then when I do like a review like here, and have to scroll through all of that, it's just not very good. Anyway, so moving forward for next week, what am I doing? I am considering sizing down again to the smallest lot size, 0.01. To further experiment with it. Depends a little bit on how much time I have during the weekend and what I can do and what I can see and where I think it's reasonable to size down, or whether I want to continue with my current size. I'm for sure not sizing up. That is not a good idea. There were some trades that I thought I should be taking with a heavy size, like a GJ trade. I didn't share that one in the group yesterday, and that would play out really beautifully. That's another thing I've noticed. I'm implementing a new system. I'm experimenting with it. The system seems to be fairly aligned with my price action study that I've done with Al Brooks, which is why I've looked into it. I didn't want to change approaches completely. I don't think that would be very wise. But when I look at it, it does mess a little bit with my trading because I'm not necessarily listening to my intuition. Like yesterday, I went to that chart, I looked at GJ, I'm like, this thing's going to go up, I need to go long, and I didn't because it wasn't necessarily aligning with my current system that I'm experimenting with. And so because I'm doing that, everything's a bit thrown off, and that's fine with me. If this works out, it will be very profitable and very good for me. Anyways, I wish you a beautiful week. Hope you're healthy and well, and I will see you in the next one. All right, take care. Bye bye.